What do you identify yourself as? That seems to be a major problem for people that decide to identify themselves as vegans, vegetarians, paleo, raw, or anything else out there that people like to identify themselves as. And identity problems can become really psychologically stressful simply for the fact that when you identify yourself as a vegan, raw vegan, paleo person, or what have you, that means that you better start practicing what you're preaching, because if you don't, you're going to get slammed by critics, because they're going to say, you hypocrite, you aren't doing what you're saying, you aren't identifying, with which you have identified yourself as. Shame on you, you aren't being vegan, you ate a piece of chicken, you ate an egg. So when you identify yourself as something, that means now that you are more or less having to stick to whatever you have identified yourself as. In other words, to make it easier to understand, I guess, is you simply become a slave to whatever you identify yourself as. And I'm just speaking about diet here. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm strictly speaking about diet. So if you identify yourself as vegan, vegans can't eat any animal products or anything from an animal. So that means now you're a slave to what you have identified yourself as this vegan. And if you slip up, shame on you. It's going to cause you enormous amounts of stress. And no matter how bad you feel, you better stick to it, because that's what you identified yourself as. And it can cause you psychological torture. I've experienced that in the past when I was a practicing vegan, vegetarian, and I ate raw for a little bit. And I only stuck to it because I thought that was what was healthiest for me. Even though I was having problems with my joints, with my energy levels, with not being able to gain weight, with looking sickly, I just didn't feel like everybody was saying I should feel like, even though I was doing everything, the best that I knew how. I was consuming, lots of fruit, not a lot of fat, but there was other times where I tried a lot of fat and not a lot of fruit. Now, I really tried everything. I really tried all the approaches, but nothing really seemed to work good for me, because I think it had more to do with psychological conditioning that I put myself through when it came to what I was supposed to eat. And I had a fear that if I ate animal products, that, I would get sick and I'd get fat and I'd get unhealthy. But oddly enough, I'm like, I'm gonna eat them anyways, I don't really care, what's more important, listening to my body and feeling healthy, because isn't that what it's all about anyways, is feeling healthy. It isn't about sticking to something 100% of the time just so, people can pat you on the back and say, good job, first and foremost, you should take care of yourself, right? Take care of yourself, because you're only living once. There's a lot of people out there making a lot of videos claiming that they're this, claiming that they're that, claiming that they eat this way, claiming that they eat that way. Well, guess what? For most of us on this YouTube, you really don't know what in the world they're eating every day, because you don't live with them every day. A lot of people are gullible. And you know what? A lot of people are liars. I've lied. You've lied. Anybody that says that you're not a liar is a liar, because we all have lied. And a lot of people don't like to be honest and tell the truth, because they're afraid it's going to wreck their image. It's going to wreck their success. And that's simply selfish, because they care more about their self-image, they care more about their success than they really genuinely care about other people. They don't really love other people. Most people really don't love other people. The Bible has a wonderful verse where it talks about what love is. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not rejoice in wrongdoings. It's in 1 Corinthians. Read it sometime. Just do a Google search, love, Bible verse, and you'll see it, and read it. But that's the truth, Not many people love that way. They have a worldly type of love. They come across as though they love you, and that they care about you, and everything. But in reality, they only care about themselves, and they're only going to protect their own self-image and identity. And they're going to do whatever means necessary, unless they really have a lot of conviction, and it's really starting to bother them, and they want to be honest with you. Some people are honest. Some people will admit that they, aren't feeling well, and they got off the bandwagon, And, I admire people for doing that. The truth is that we're all going to die someday. Life is more than just food. And do you want to be remembered in this life for how healthy you are, or for how good you eat, or for the foods that you avoid? Or do you want to be remembered for, people remembering that you were very loving and kind and compassionate and had a lot of light in your life? Are you really a true follower of Jesus? Most people are not. They would take up arms and they would hurt other people. They would be mean. They would kill. They would, be rude and unforgiving. Look, if you really want to be healthy, start practicing love. Start being forgiving. Start being humble. And work from there. Really have a sincere and genuine heart, and admit your faults. Admit that, nobody's perfect. And there is, we shouldn't label other people. We shouldn't point the finger. We have enough pointing of the finger at ourselves to do, because we have enough of our own problems. We aren't to be out there, nitpicking everyone else. So I'm just basically wanting to say that we really have to do what we feel is the very best for ourselves, regardless if it goes against whatever you might have identified yourself as. Look, if you have decided, a year ago or 2 years ago that you were going to become a vegan, or a raw vegan, or a paleo, or whatever it is, and you aren't feeling good and you know it, don't deceive yourself. Don't continue down that path. Love yourself enough to say, you know what, this isn't working for me. I'm going to change. I'm going to take care of myself, regardless if people make fun of me, regardless if people get upset at me, regardless if I lose success on YouTube. Because what's more important? Taking care of yourself, telling the truth, being honest, or living a lie and damaging yourself in the process. Because guess what? If you aren't feeling well and you continue to go along with whatever you identify yourself as, and you're afraid that if you change and you tell people the truth, and you're afraid that you're going to lose your friends, well, you wrongly assume that they're your friends, because a true friend isn't going to do that. Take it from me. They're not going to do that. True friend is one that is supportive, one that is caring, one that looks out for your greatest welfare. And you know what? God cares about you. He loves you. And He cares about your welfare. And He doesn't want you to become lost. So, with all this being said, don't ever get caught into the trap or the web of trying to keep your identity just for the sake of not losing your success not losing your popularity, not losing your so-called friends, or whoever or whatever it might be. If you genuinely care about yourself, then take care of yourself, eat good, and with that, I will see you in my next video.